I am going to be reviewing Angelfire by Courtney Allison Moulton, who is amazing, and I'm a big fan of her, a friend of her, and this is her debut novel, and I care a lot for her, and I respect her on a very personal level. And out of respect for her and out of the friendship that we have, I'm going to be totally honest with her on my opinion of this book, because it's only fair. It was totally fucking awesome. Okay, there were some parts I wasn't crazy about, but overall, the book was just well written, it had good characters, functional relationships, and it got its mythology right. For once. Alright, as I mentioned before, and multiple times in the future, probably, angel fiction is huge right now. I don't know if Fallen Success is to blame for that or not, but the result is there have been some good books for the genre and a lot of shitty ones. So I'd like to personally thank Courtney for getting a good one made. And here are the things I really liked about this novel, because I found it easier to just put it in bullet form, to explain it to you and wrap it up. A. No shitty popular / cheerleader rival. I hate this cliche, and it has been used to waste a lot of time that could be used to develop relationships and friendships, but instead it focuses on this kind of petty rivalry to kind of humanize the characters by having them fight with two girls or a group of girls who really probably would never care about each other in real life. And I really like the fact that one of the girls is actually supposed to be, is kind of the popular girl, but she's actually kind of a friend, not a best friend, not a biffle, but there's a casual friendship there. And that's kind of how it is. It's not always popular, nerd, and everybody else. That's how some high schools are, but for the most part, ones I've known, while there's like different social levels, it's not like if you're popular, you're gonna automatically just bump the shoulders of everyone you see. B. The heroine is actually proactive. I mean, I hate it when a girl is the chosen one and she does nothing. I mean, she's more like a treasure that has to be protected than a person of importance. You know, very few people can manage to do that now. Like Buffy. I keep bringing up Buffy, but I've been watching a lot of Buffy lately, so excuse me for that. When it says that Ellie has to hunt and kill these Reapers on the back of the book, you know what? She's actually hunting and killing those things. Not just watching her love interest Will do it. And I love that while reading the book. You know, it's hard to find a heroine these days who is a fighter in both a literal and figurative sense. She has a fighting personality, but she also, you know, fights. She's got blades and shit, you know? I mean, I just finished telling you reading this book, and she's a chosen one. She doesn't do anything, even though she has fighting abilities already, you know, shown as part of her character. We've had so many female leads who are so focused on being that kind of normal, everyday girl that they don't give them anything else. I mean, one of the things that makes this book really memorable to me is that she fights for herself and to protect herself. It's really interesting to read that, and it was one of the things that made Ellie such a great heroine, is that she's a fighter, you know? And it's funny how hard it is nowadays to find a heroine that's actually active in her own story. It shows you how much we've regressed since the 90s, but that's a rant for another day. C. Friendship is actually shown. Some of the... C. Friendship is actually shown. So many times these days, best friends get pushed to the sidelines and forgotten for a relationship instead. But I was really happy to have the friendship between Ellie and Kate keep coming back in the story. It keep making reoccurrences. They always spent time together in regular intervals, so they were always having that dynamic together. And their interactions were some of the realest moments and sweetest moments of the book because of how genuine everything was. I mean, you read the story and you read how their friendship and their dialogue together, it's like, yeah, I can totally tell they're best friends. I can totally tell they hang out and they do things together because they know each other. It's not like in House of Night where they have the twins and their way of showing that they're friends, they constantly like finishes their sentences. That's just annoying because people don't do that all the time. It happens sometimes, not all the time. That's not realistic dialogue. This is because they have their kind of like own little inside jokes and whatnot, and that makes the friendship real, because that's what friends have, a little inside, just a little nods to each other, not whole, oh yeah, you and I are, not all finishing each other's sentences crap, which pisses me off. D, accurate mythology. And thank God for that, because I've read so many books about angels and demons with everyone muddling the idea of what they are. It's great to see that someone actually gets that they are not just, love interests. Someone actually gets the mythology right and actually does the research on it. Thank you. They actually had the correct definition of Nephilim in this book. So, that made me really happy that I didn't have to be like, you're wrong. I was like, oh, she got it right. E, Sailor Moon references. F, the fight sequences were fantastic to read. I mean, we actually have real battles. Swords, chopping, decapitation, stabbing, blood. It's really, really fun to read, and I really enjoyed that. It's been so long since I actually had a book with so many fight scenes, actually. Because even in the Hunger Games, the first one, they had fighting scenes, but they were really sporadic, and there weren't really that many if you really take it at piece by piece. But in this book, you have like these a couple page long fight sequences that are really interesting and really in depth, and just it really shows what happens. And not only that, she practices fighting. She actually goes out and practices so she can get better at something. She just isn't automatically good at it. Isn't that shocking, people? Now, the things I was a little meh about. Because while I did really, 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 really like this book, I will admit there were 3 big things that really, really brought it down from being a perfect read for me. Number 1, the pacing. It was both a good and a bad thing, but in the end I leaned a little more towards bad. This was a fairly long book, about, let's see how many pages you are, 464 pages, right? But I felt like the beginning was rushed slightly. Not horribly, mind you, but I felt like maybe a little bit more time could have been used to set up the storyline. Set up the character interactions. However, the quickness made for more fight scenes and more interaction between Will and Elle, and, their fighting relationship and whatnot. So you can't have it all. And while I appreciate that they got it out the way to get to other things, I found that when she finally accepted her destiny, it was too soon. I didn't want it to be like dragged on to the second book. She's still in denial about everything, because she does still have that kind of like, I understand I have responsibilities, but I don't want to do this. But she's had a good balance of that, which I really, really enjoyed. But at the same time, it was a little bit too quick. I felt like maybe a couple more pages, or like maybe another chapter or so. But at the same time, like I said, you get quicker fight scenes, quicker more into the action. So it's a give and take. 2, Will and Ellie. I actually really like this couple. They had a really engaging dynamic and fun banter, which created this kind of like interesting chemistry between each other. Because it's kind of reminded me of like early Rose and Dimitri from the Vampire Academy series. Like kind of like back and forth insult, half insult kind of flirting thing, which was really cute because I love that kind of stuff. And I feel like it stretched out the romance and whatever and made it really work. But I really felt for them because they actually acted like a real, genuine couple. So why are they on the meh list? Because the last few chapters, in the beginning there was this realism to the relationship, and it had the sensible, there was a realism to the relationship. You have the clash between the sensible teenager and the hormonal romantic one in Ellie's mind, because it's told from her perspective, and you see her basically going through this whole thing with Will and her together about where they really stand as a couple. And maybe it was in the heat of the moment, but I felt like there was a big leap in the last few chapters, that the sensibility that was kind of there that made it kind of realistic just vanished, and she was just like, I love you, stuff, and it felt like a big leap for them that wasn't really necessary. They already had something building up, and I really thought they were going to wait till book 2 to really say that I love you and all that kind of stuff, but they jumped to it. Not totally bad, but the way it was already set up, that it was kind of disappointing that they kind of rushed the ending part of that to make it seem like they had to be together, Whereas from the beginning, it was already kind of established they're gonna get together, but it was cute because you had a slow, steady pace for it. 3. Name dropping. My personal pet peeve from hell. While I love subtle references and homages to shows, which was done here with Sailor Moon, there's a really fun reference to Sailor Moon in the text if you know the Japanese names of the characters. But I cannot stand name dropping, and it happened a lot in here. There's a lot of like titles of movies and stuff like that. I was just like, I don't mean to, but it really drives me out of the book, and it develops. It's like the name develops the character more than the writing itself, which is why I'm so against it, because I feel like, when you tell me that your character likes such and such, to kind of make her seem like she's kind of that kind of character, like, if your character is supposed to be, a nerd, and you say, oh, I have Pokemon cards, and I have Pokemon, and I have Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever and whatnot, like, you don't need that to show that they're a dork. You make them become a dork because of how you write them, not because you give them dorky things. Make their actions dorky, not what they have. Because you can watch Pokemon and think other stuff like this Pokemon related is totally ridiculous. So that happened a lot, so that just kind of irritated me. Overall, I still give it an A- and like 4.4, around that kind of area, 4.3. A little bit over a 4.0, but still a little bit on the man. This is my third favorite young adult book I've read so far, between The Duff and Wild Thorn, which I'll try to review in the next segment, as well as the only young adult angel demon book I have enjoyed thus far. The lead was really engaging and, most importantly, realistic. Her home life keeps her really grounded in reality while she takes on this kind of like Buffy-esque personality, and it's obvious that the writer took took tips from those kind of shows. Like you can get the Sailor Moon feel to it, you get that Buffy feel to it, that Xena charm kind of thing to it. Those 90s things that really are dead now for some reason, which you would think, we would build on that, but actually we really haven't. But she obviously took those ideas and integrated them into this, and it really made for a really fun read.